Hey guys, this is the Kickstarter intro video for the 2024 Small Town Monsters Kickstarter. This year's films are On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Ancients, Cryptid, The Goat Man.
I've taken one Goat Man report, and it happened in Henderson County, Kentucky in 1975.
Lost Contact.
Whatever this thing was a threat to the security of the United States of America.
And Dogman Territory. 3 of these films are directed by myself. Cryptid, The Goat Man is directed by Eli Watson. There's also a surprise 5th movie, which we've already announced, that is going to be a part of this year's campaign. It will be available exclusively on DVD and Blu-ray to our backers. And this movie is not happening without the stretch goal being hit. And that movie is called Cursed Waters, The Creature of Lake Okanagan. And that will also be directed by Eli Watson. It was shot in BC back in May of 2023, and it is in the can and just waiting to come to life thanks to the backers of this year's campaign. This year we have a ton of great rewards like we do every year. We wanted to really stack this year's campaign with rewards that you guys would love and want to have in your collection or closet. So we have a t-shirt designed by Jonathan Dodd. We also have a hoodie designed by Jonathan Dodd. Those are both only available to Kickstarter backers, so this will be your only chance to have them. We have a Goat Man statue designed by Jean St. Jean, as well as DVD and Blu-ray copies of the movies. A really amazing poster collection by Chelsea Lowe, and digital copies of all the movies, plus more stuff that I'm probably forgetting. You'll definitely want to become a backer to get all of this stuff this year. People want to know what we do with the funds we raise through Kickstarter. They go not just to the films we make, but also all the YouTube content we make, the books we publish. The book publishing side of things is why we like to integrate books like Aaron Deese's Hunting Grounds into the campaign each year. Everything we do here at Small Town Monsters runs through the Kickstarter. So while yes, you are getting a ton of rewards for the amount of money you put in, you are also helping to create all of the content that we put out here at Small Town Monsters. We hope that you'll be a part of this year's campaign and become a backer. We love the executive producer levels, so if you're looking at this wanting to know which level you should back at to help us the most, that is the biggest level that will actually get us through the end of 2024. So definitely consider being a backer at that level, but any level is a huge boon to what we do. Thank you for watching and for considering backing the 2024 Small Town Monsters Kickstarter campaign. We love you guys and thank you for the continued support.
Good evening. Hello. What's up? Howdy. Welcome everyone to a very, very special episode of STM Live. I am extremely excited to be here this evening. Very excited to see all of you. The chat is on fire, as one of our commenters has already said. So we're very happy to see you guys. A couple of announcements at the top of the hour, and then we're gonna get into things pretty quickly tonight, you guys. There is a new episode of Bigfoot: The Road to Discovery available for squad members, aka YouTube channel members, right now over on YouTube. So head over there and check that out. The world premiere is taking place this coming Sunday. We also have a new episode of The Lore You Know, hosted by Heather Mosier, featuring Nikki Clement, who you will recognize from Skinwalker, Howl of the Rougarou. And then we have a few really big announcements tonight. We've got a lot of big stuff to talk about, but the show is the announcements tonight. So we're going to just get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and bring up tonight's guests in no particular order. Adam Dugan.
Well, I was surprised. I'm glad I wasn't picking my nose.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I picked someone randomly. You looked very composed. So I was like,
here.
Adam. And then moving in order from right to left on my screen, Mr. Mark Matsky.
Heyo.
Hey, Mark. Welcome back. This is twice in a week.
I know. New streak.
Fantastic. And then, of course, the man behind all of this stuff, you know him, you love him, and the lady who makes everything happen, everything behind the scenes happens pretty much because of Adam and Courtney, Seth and Courtney. Welcome back, guys.
Hey.
Hey.
For a second, I thought you were calling Adam a lady. So.
I was like, well, I don't know where to go with this.
Oh, sorry. I'll be honest, guys. I'm really excited.
And the
I'm very
lady behind this, Adam, I mean.
I bounced around a lot there. In my head, that was going to sound a lot more eloquent. But thank you for bearing with me. A shout out to all of our new squad members this evening. There are several. Jason Grieshover, Danielle, Gary MC, Michael Hansen, and William Scholl. Welcome and thank you, guys. We're so happy to have you as a part of the squad. So yeah, there's a ton of comments. I've got 28 notifications over here, so I'm just going to scroll through here very quickly. But would anyone like to let everyone know what we're doing tonight?
I'm pretending to look up because
Someone who
We are
knows.
talking
Someone
about
who
the
knows what we're
Kickstarter.
doing.
We're talking about the Kickstarter, and I mean, we've reached 100% today. That is
Yes.
And we have a super awesome stretch goal this year. The first time we've ever offered a full extra movie on physical media that we're going to ship out. So we're bolstering to try and hit that. And we have prizes.
We do have prizes this evening. Should we go ahead and announce that right now?
Sure.
So, someone asked in the comments.
Kickstarter link. I can send that again.
I don't know that works on
Oh.
from StreamYard.
it blocks it. I tried to do it, and it's blocked it for me.
I'll do it. I'll post it in the live chat on YouTube.
Yes,
That was YouTube.
that
Okay.
link is forthcoming. Yes.
So I'm going to be watching our Kickstarter backers. And for anyone who backs at any level in the next 24 hours, we have 2 prizes that I'm going to select at random. So if you back in the next 24 hours, please watch for emails from me about this time tomorrow because I'll be emailing 2 of you. The first prize is our American Werewolves Special Edition VHS tape, which is really cool because it's VHS in a plastic case, which is very blockbuster. And then inside of it, it has a 30-some page zine that has a bunch of behind the scenes stuff in it. It has articles. It has behind the scenes photos. Oh, this is a picture I took actually.
Would you look at that?
That's just Zach running through some fog, you know.
Is that Zach?
Yeah, he was filming Santino chasing him, but I got the side view of the fog. But yeah, it's really cool because it kind of has its own like behind the scenes documentary. There's Jason taking a picture of me as I'm taking a picture of him.
Wow.
But we're giving that away. And the other prize is our On the Trail of Companion Volume 1, which is a big book. It usually retails at a pretty hefty price. So for this special occasion, we're going to give away 1 copy of it.
It's a really good book. I purchased mine a couple of years ago.
You had all of us sign it. I remember.
I did. I think I can't prove this, but I'm pretty sure I have more signatures in mine than any other copy out there because I brought it to Monster Fest last year. I even got Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed.
I think the first time I signed it was at CryptidCon like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. You and Heather actually helped me get everybody's signatures that was there, and then since then I've just been tracking people down like a real weirdo. But yeah, these are both great prizes. I don't even have one of these American Werewolves VHSs.
Yeah, and the VHSs are super limited run. So they're never going to be printed again. We partnered with the VHS company. They have some of them. We have the rest of them. When they're gone, they're gone. And just with the feel of the movie, it feels like authentic to have it on VHS. So it kind of fits with the theme.
Super exciting. So let's talk what happens next. I had 2 shows planned for tonight, depending on what the state of the Kickstarter was. And within the last, 4 or 5 hours, we hit 100% of our base funding goal. So, but this isn't the end of the journey. Like we have more that we get to do together. So what happens next? I know, but would anyone else like to?
Well, so So from here, the biggest thing is that there is some confusion usually when it comes to stretch goals, which is that I think people think you're like moving the goalpost on them, and that now you have to hit some new goal in order to get the rewards. Basically, like all the rewards are achieved. So if you back the campaign, you're getting all the rewards. All that happens with the stretch goal is that if we hit the stretch goal, we are adding free DVD and Blu-ray copies for all backers at any level that get physical rewards, and then all backers, even the digital ones, will get a digital copy of Cursed Waters. The big sort of disclaimer here is, and I think I said this during the live stream, but I want to make sure I say it again. Cursed Waters is happening. Like it's a done deal. The movie's already shot. We've got an effects artist doing some amazing recreations and stuff like that. Eli's already halfway through the edit, so that movie is happening. The biggest part of this is that if we can hit the stretch goal, then backers are getting a free copy of the movie, and we've never given DVDs and Blu-rays for free, so that's a big part of it. So if we can hit that stretch goal, that's what's happening. But I just wanted that to be out there.
Yeah,
it's the goal now. So that's the big thing. The other thing would be that, you know, once we finish the first movie out of the gate, which is supposed to be Dogman territory, there will be a package that goes out whenever that movie is completed with Dogman territory on DVD and Blu-ray. It's possible it will actually contain Dogman territory and Ogopogo. We just have to, the timing has to be right. But that would be the plan. And obviously the Ogopogo movie, Cursed Waters, being a part of that would be hinged on whether or not we can hit the stretch goal. And the stretch goal is 120. We're at 91K-ish as of right now. So we're well on our way to the stretch goal. For anyone that's in the chat that's like, how do we get to the stretch goal? Just help share the campaign. That's like that's the only way that anyone can really help the campaign at this point, would be to share it. Or if you adjust your pledge to like a higher level, which we're not asking anyone to do, but I'm just saying those are really the only two ways to help us hit that stretch goal. Tell your friends and people on social media.
Yeah, we did have that question in the chat from Chris Honholz. So thank you, Chris. Great question. Which kind of brings me to something I should have said a little bit ago. Please do drop your questions and comments for all of our esteemed panel this evening in the chat, and we will do our best to answer them. I have a question. Actually, I have several questions about several of the projects involved in the next Kickstarter, and I'm going to select one at random. Let's talk a little more about Cursed Waters, because this is probably the one that people are the most surprised by, just because we only recently announced it, which I'm very excited about. Small Town Monsters hasn't covered a sea monster in a while. It's been a hot minute. So what brought us back to this topic in 2024?
Eli proposed it when we were doing the lead up to On the Trail of Bigfoot, the origin. You know, I mean, full transparency, this was originally conceived as being an episode of Mysteries and Monsters. What happened is Mysteries and Monsters is kind of on a hiatus, and we were all on the Dogman, the Dogman territory shoot. And while we were there, as these things go, we're all sitting around hanging out, and the idea came about to just make a full-scale movie out of it. Eli had plenty of stuff in the can, and I was excited at the prospect of doing something that was lake monster oriented as a film. And then, I mean, it all came about in one giant 20-minute conversation. Basically, we were like, let's do it as a movie. Let's do it as a Kickstarter reward. Jason Hewlett already had a book that he had written about that case, about the Ogopogo creature. And I said, let's include that, you know, not in the Kickstarter, but in our publishing lineup for the year. So it all kind of came about very quickly. And we were excited just at the prospect of integrating that into what we were doing. There was also a very real chance that might not have come out if we didn't do that. Because I do know with YouTube, there are things that we've shot that just, it never came to fruition, whether it was because we didn't have enough content in the can, or, there's people move on to other projects and never get back around to it or whatever. So I was a little concerned about this one falling by the wayside, because Ogopogo has always been a big cryptid for me. That's one of the ones that I was aware. In fact, like, anyone who's heard me talk about my origin story for cryptids, I was gifted a burned DVD by a friend of mine, and one of the episodes of some television documentary, it also focused on Ogopogo. So Ogopogo was something I was aware of going back to my introduction to all of this. So it kind of made sense for us to do something with it. I was also just excited about doing seeing what Eli could do with like a full scale STM movie with a full backing of STM. We brought in an effects artist. We're doing, we're taking this project just as seriously as any of the other projects that are a part of the Kickstarter this year. From a production standpoint, the budget on it is relatively high, so it's not going to look like a free movie that you're getting, as part of this year's campaign. Like, it's a very serious undertaking. Like, we're putting all hands on deck sort of when it comes to that project, just like we do all the other films and YouTube series.
I'm very excited about it. I know a lot of people are. We have a teaser for that film. Should we maybe run that while we're talking about it? Yeah, let's do it. All right, here we go.
Lake Okanagan is a glacial lake. It's extremely deep, with depths being more than 700 feet, even further, like 2,500 feet in some areas. And of course, it is rumored to house a lake monster.
The actuality is, a lot of people saw something out on that lake that's got 4 or 5 humps, 10 and 60 or 70 feet long.
So when settlers came, they saw something in the water and it spooked them.
Settlers believed it was like a lake demon, something to be feared, something ferocious.
It's a shapeshifter, it's a dimension walker. It will manifest itself and it'll have antlers much like a deer. That's its spiritual form.
I have zero theories on what this might be because it is too anomalous.
What is Ogopogo and what does it mean?
So it was October 15th, 2022, and then all of a sudden we saw the thing in the water.
We got within about 12 feet of it and she took that picture. And we were just kept right on going because the speed we're going right now, this is our getaway speed.
Yeah.
If you saw something in the lake that you couldn't explain, would you call the media?
I love that. I love it. It gets me so pumped up. Eli Watson made that.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie Hughes just backed the Kickstarter. Really looking forward to this year. So, Carrie, you are in the drawing for.
I see you, Carrie, and also Dar Jack, who increased their pledge since the stream started. He's going to be included in the drawing as well.
Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you. So we're already on the road. We're already making some pretty substantive progress towards this goal. We do have some audience questions coming in. I think we're going to do those. Our friend BH, good to see you, my friend, as always, says, hey, Seth, what other categories of the unexplained does STM want to expand into going into the future?
This year and next year will be pretty surprising for STM viewers as far as like what we're tackling. I mean, we've already announced Tyler Hall's the Mystery Light Phantom Lights movie. There's a mermaid related project in the works. Like, we have some things coming down the pipe that people.
I don't have anything for that.
probably not expecting it all. Strange Places by Alexander Pedikov is going to take us to some
he's very excited about.
Yeah, that's going to take us to some really unusual areas. We're doing we announced we're UFOs Revisited is coming, and that will have all sorts of interesting aspects and cases involved, including the Veggie Man. There's no end to what we are interested in covering. It always comes down to what we can actually afford to cover, but we're definitely already pushing into some new territory with not just cryptids, but the paranormal in general, and stuff. Bigfoot is obviously going to perpetually remain sort of the main focus of a lot of what we do, because that is, I know for Alexander and myself, it's one of the topics that we are drawn to the most, and it's one I'm always fascinated by and find new avenues to explore. But there's no limit to what we will do this year. I don't know. I mean, you guys can hop in on this.
We're also talking to work with other filmmakers and trying to expand who we're working with to get more diverse content. We can't talk about a lot of that yet, but we're definitely trying to get more out there.
Yeah, there's I said that in the live stream, like there's just a ton coming from STM this year. I don't know. I mean, I think we've announced maybe 60%. I don't know. And I'm talking about stuff that's coming out this year. So there's more.
So stay tuned for sure. Yeah, thanks for that setup, BH. That was a great opportunity for us to talk about more of the projects that this Kickstarter campaign is funding, because it's not just these 5 films that we're talking about. This provides support for everything that we do.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that is important to understand, especially for YouTube viewers, is we were around for 7 years, really, maybe more, probably 8, before we really expanded onto YouTube. And YouTube has been very Bigfoot focused. But before that, well over half of our lineup does not involve Bigfoot. If it's probably less than half is actually Bigfoot related. So we've always had a wide breadth of topics out there. And we certainly, as a crew and as a company, I think everyone here is interested in a variety of these topics, and we'd all burn ourselves out if all we talked about was Bigfoot. Mark would eventually just kill me.
Yeah, we're close now.
Almost there. We're creeping up to the line.
He doesn't even deny it. Yeah. I would.
I do see Cheryl Peacock in the chat, and I wanted to say hi. She is our friend from Great Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference, and we'll be back there in just a couple months. Aaron will be there. Aaron's talking.
Yeah. Yes, I am, with my good friend Heather Mosier. We'll be talking Dogman 101 at a big event. So, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. Very excited. Here's a fun question. Seth, you touched on this a moment ago. Squad member Strangerous asks, do we have an approximate release schedule for the year?
The way STM functions is we sort of schedule things out on a quarterly basis. When I'm talking about a schedule, I'm talking specifically about film releases. That is mostly because things are always shifting, and we don't have everything from 2024 shot. So we know, like, for instance, we know Dogman Territory is a spring release. We know that On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Ancients is a summer release. We know that Cryptid the Goat Man will probably also be a summer release. And then what is the last? Lost Contact is a fall release. And Ogopogo is also a spring release. That's kind of like the current plan. So when it comes to the films, that's where those are at. And then we do have a rough approximation of when books are coming out, but we haven't announced that yet. So I don't know. Dogman, I do know that Dogman Territory and Jason Hewlett's Ogopogo book are going to be relatively close together.
Mhm.
So you know, I know that the Mystery Light book by Ron Murphy is going to be we're targeting as sort of like a late summer or early fall release. So that's how that goes. And then when it comes to YouTube, we know obviously things are planned out. We have to know things on YouTube a little in advance. So that stuff's pretty much plotted out from now through the early summer, late spring, something like that.
One other thing we do know, and it should have been announced by now, I haven't checked. If not, we're announcing it now. At the Great Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, we are premiering On the Trail of Bigfoot, the Ancients. And you can get tickets for that. Even if you don't want to go the whole conference, you can add on the movie premiere. You can come to just the movie premiere, but we're doing that there. And at Monster Fest in June in Canton, Ohio, we are premiering Ogopogo.
Yes, Cursed Waters will premiere.
And that'll be at the beautiful Canton Palace Theater, and we're going to have a Q&A panel.
Did you say Ogopogo or Okopogo?
Ogopogo?
Ogopogo.
Ogo. She keeps saying Oko, like, I think because of Lake Okanagan.
Yeah, I would like the two words to be one. It would be a lot easier.
Does make sense.
But yes, we're doing our Lake Monster premiere at Monster Fest in June here at home. So that's kind of how our releases get planned. Sometimes we have a lot of control over them. Sometimes we have a little less control over them.
Well, that's the other thing. You know, going forward, STM is really pushing forward, at least in 2024, to self-release our movies. You know, just frankly, as a filmmaker, the entire distribution process of working with other companies handling our movies has been an absolute nightmare across the board. And so even if it somewhat limits the amount of platforms the titles are available on, like if you like watching our movies on Vudu, just being upfront with you, you're out of luck in 2024. You know, Amazon and Tubi are going to be the big ones to watch STM film releases in 2024. It's mostly because we have no control over when the movies come out, if they're coming out through a distributor. This way we can at least say a movie's done, let's get it out now. You know, whereas with a distributor, you complete the movie, you hand it to them, and then you wait for months on end.
3, 4, 5 months.
American Werewolves 2 would be the perfect example of that, you know, sort of just gestating for months on end while we wait for it to pass QC and get out there. So we're not doing that anymore, whether it limits the revenue on the movies or not, because frankly, it's a nightmare to work in that environment where you have no control over what you're putting out.
And we do have Unexplained TV coming up, which is going to be our fast channel, free ad-supported television. And a lot of our stuff will be on there. The new releases might not be on there right away, but they will eventually be on there. So you'll have Tubi, Amazon, Unexplained TV, and any other smaller platforms that pick them up.
Very cool. We have actually another question kind of along those same lines. This one having to do with Cursed Waters. Our friend BH asks, will Cursed Waters be released on YouTube? I'm dying to see my local lake cryptid on the small screen again. We'll also be doing Ogopogo research this spring and summer to see what can be found. We'll keep us updated on that, BH. That's super exciting. But Seth, you mentioned that Cursed Waters is happening one way or another. So how's the distribution working for that?
The distribution of all Small Town Monsters movies, YouTube is last. Like YouTube will always be the last place we put these features. So like the movies that are on Kickstarter, it'll be the last place they are released. It will be the first place for certain titles, things like the Phantom Lights Project, some other movies we haven't even announced yet, but those are sort of like a cross-pollination thing where they come out across all platforms simultaneously. The feature films, stuff like this, will come out, you know, on Amazon, Tubi, the pay platforms first, and that's mostly how we actually make the budget back on these movies, is by releasing them on the pay platforms. And I wouldn't expect to see Cursed Waters or anything from 2024 on YouTube before 2026. So, you know, Kickstarter, Great way to get this stuff when it comes out. If not that, then rent or buy it when it comes out on Amazon and Tubi. But there will be plenty of content coming out directly to YouTube and Unexplained TV as well.
And it will probably be on YouTube for the rent or buy option, just not necessarily free. The way we're doing self-distribution, a lot of stuff will be on there for the YouTube movies, they call it.
So super accessible.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I like that. Julie Bug has a question about Unexplained TV. Will there be a fee for the Unexplained TV?
Adam, do you want to talk about that?
Adam.
Hey, I can talk about this. This has been my life here for the last little bit.
Mm-hmm.
No, there won't be any fee. The way that these fast channels work, essentially, you have your built-in like Samsung TV or whatever. You have kind of a free that's fast is free ad-supported TV. So essentially, there'll be some commercials in there, but if you have like a Samsung TV or a variation of that, it'll be there. So if you've got the TV, you can do it. There are also other platforms that are free. Things like Freevee, things like, what are some other ones, Seth? Roku. Yeah.
Amazon Fire.
Amazon Fire. Yeah, there's quite a few.
Yeah, basically any smart TV program will probably, hopefully, eventually carry it. Right. And then you'll just have an occasional commercial, but it's free 24/7 programming of our stuff or stuff we've curated.
And eventually, I do know one thing I would like to see eventually with Unexplained TV is that we would have exclusive titles that would be sort of exclusively streaming on Unexplained TV. It won't be right out of the gate, but that is something I would love to see come down the road.
I think I talked about this before too. I think something that's really cool about it is, I think with like the world of streaming now, with Netflix, with Hulu, with all of those things, it's obviously everything is just kind of there on demand. So maybe your family is not available to watch something and you just watch it and then they catch up later or whatever. But growing up, I think for most of us, we would have a show or two every week that we watched that came on at a certain time, that everybody sat around and sat down together and watched it. And it was always, I have really fond memories of that. And that's one of the things, as I've been working through it anyway, thinking about one of the benefits is that there are going to be certain shows, for instance, Werewolf Wednesday. Like on Wednesday evenings, there's going to be a selection of Dogman, Werewolf, Aaron's. I almost said Aaron's baby, but that doesn't sound.
I mean, in a way,
whatever. Your baby is way cuter than Dogman, but things like that, where you can just get with your family and watch something, have something to look forward to every week. And I don't know. I think maybe I'm just kind of nostalgic for like the TV Guide channel days, like watching and being like, oh, this got to be here at this time because this comes on. And I just think that's a fun kind of secondary like benefit. Is it's gonna give people interested in the same subject a dedicated time to sit down and like share that together, which I think is really cool.
Very excited. Very excited. I have a couple of those, paranormally themed streaming channels on my smart TV. And every time I turn the TV on now, I'm like, soon we'll be on there.
Right.
Yeah. We have a comment that is not a question, but it has to be responded to because it's very important. Our friend Michael Kishbusher asks, I would pay to see Mark host a late night creature feature. I agree. I'm just going to put that out there, and anyone's welcome to respond to that. But I think that's a great.
Can we afford to pay Mark to host that show? I feel like his fee would be.
Well, interestingly, I would pay to do one.
Let's launch another Kickstarter.
Right,
and we'll figure out later.
Make that happen. I'm in.
I'd like to see Mark do a Mystery Science Theater 3000 style.
Oh.
We get some puppets and Mark, and we just.
Again, I'd kick in some for that.
Let's do this. And I have had many conversations about a MSTK, type show.
We have. I was deciding whether or not it was okay to say that. Yeah, we definitely have.
I'm just saying it doesn't mean we have to do it. Seth's the man with a plan. I'm just saying it out loud, just throwing it out there.
I mean, it's 100% possible. So many of those, especially like if we're trying to keep it within the cryptid paranormal realm, so many like paranormal cryptid themed movies are in the public domain that would make it very easy to do something like that.
It would be
We got the theater chairs in the garage. We'll just pull them out.
Oh.
Lighting going.
I'll be moving to Ohio in 1 week for this, and I will stay there as long as it takes.
I mean, I didn't start working on notes for an idea like this a week ago or anything.
Yeah, let's get Mark a jumpsuit and we'll just get it going.
Nice.
This is going to spiral in a very I'm very excited about it. So let's start another Kickstarter, and we'll decide later who gets the money to make this happen. It seems to me like,
or who gives it, right?
Yeah, I don't care. I just want this to happen.
Excellent.
Well, here's a question that I am curious to hear from Mark on. And Mark, you've been on a lot of these investigations, so I think you'll probably have a take on this. Our friend Metallica 4567 asks, are any of you guys worried you might actually meet one of these monsters during an investigation? What if you look to the left and Goatman is coming straight at you?
Oh man. Well, if it's the Goatman of popular conception, I think, it's curtains at that point, because he'd have an axe in his hand. It'd be game over at that
That's
point.
a nice hatchet you've got there, and close
Yeah,
your eyes.
right. But I don't. The first part of that question, not really worried. I mean, at this point, we've done enough of these where I would really actually love to have something emerge from the forest or have some sort of visual encounter of any kind. That would be ideal. I think it's really what everyone's going out there for. And, many comments have been made about the fact that, you go out into the woods, you go on some sort of night investigation, and then there's a major freak out if it seems like something is going to happen, but that's why you're there, right? I mean, you actually want to have something happen. So I'm, sort of two minds on that. On one hand, axe wielding Goatman, that would be beyond terrifying, but Bigfoot or any other sort of natural cryptid, that's what you're out there to do, is to try to find that, have that encounter.
Great question, Metallica. Appreciate that. We get good questions from Metallica all the time. So here's a question that we can kick to everybody. Seth may be the one that knows, but staying on the topic of Goatman, hides in long grass, whose profile picture appears to be the Mothman. So I'm here for that. Are they doing the Texas Goatman? There's also a Maryland Goatman. So I don't know if that bleeds into spoiler territory and if we can talk about that, but Goatman is coming.
I do know that the way the project was originally conceived was to be an all-encompassing Goatman movie. I am fairly certain Kentucky is going to play the largest role in it, but I know we shot a Goatman interview in New Mexico, so it should be an all-encompassing, across the board look at the Goatman phenomenon as a whole.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah,
very excited about this one. Our friend Jeremiah over at Bigfoot Society, whose show Mr. Adam Dugan was on just this week, 48 hours ago, I believe the episode aired.
It was a blast. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Bigfoot Society members got to hear it a little bit early, but great interview. Check that out right away. But Jeremiah asks, have you been back to Rogues Hollow lately?
I don't know about Mark. I haven't been there since last summer. Tommy and I went for a hike over there. Tommy loves to go there. That's my son. So I enjoy going there, but it's been a while since I've headed over that way. So unfortunately, I have not been there lately.
No, nor have I. But I do think it's like a camping extravaganza waiting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get out there and see what happens.
Yeah, leave Mark and I in the woods overnight at Rogues Hollow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be great. When Seth told me that his number one thing, the first time I interviewed him, going on 2.5 years ago now, is always be filming. So stay tuned for that. I don't know why I just remembered that. We we sorry, we have a couple of questions that are about specific UFO cases. So I'll kick one of these out here. Our friend Kevin Bird asks, would you guys ever consider a film about Project Blue Book and or Dr. J. Allen Hynek? And on the subject of UFOs, I think the Cash Landrum incident and the Lonnie Zamora / Socorro event are both very compelling. Your thoughts? I'll start this one off by saying, check out UFOs Revisited later this year. It's possible that one or more of the things that were mentioned in Kevin's question will be relevant to one or more of those episodes. So
I think it is relevant.
I think Kevin too might know already, because Kevin's been around for a very long time. He was a Sasquatch listener, Monsteropolis. Mark and I see him at least once a year. He might already have some insight here, but I mean, a dream project of mine is the Cash Landrum incident. I'm super fascinated by that, and have been for a very long time. It's one of my dream projects to get into. The Project Blue Book thing, I very much want to do, but not a documentary, and maybe not even a film at all. The project I have in mind that involves Blue Book, or at least builds off of Blue Book, is a narrative comic book that I've had a treatment written out for a very long time. So that's my answer to those. I don't know about anyone else.
I'm here for it. So I know we're going to talk about some of that on UFOs Revisited, which I'm excited about, along with some other things. So yeah, I think you will be happy with that show and certain topics.
Yes. Sure. If these topics are of interest to you, you might also like UFOs Revisited. Coming later. No, I'm so excited. I don't want to talk too much about it because it's still in the works, but I'm very, very excited to share that with people as it develops. So yes, thank you for asking that, Kevin. Always good to see you. Let's see. Our friend Tyler Hall says, let's go. So yeah, shout out to Tyler. Well, we answered that question already. There were a few in here I was really excited to get to. Let's see. Sorry. Oh, our friend Stranger says, I just backed, but my Kickstarter moniker is different than here. Go STM. Thank you, Strangerous. We appreciate you.
Nice.
Very much. And we have another new squad member to shout out. John Taylor joined the squad just about 15-20 minutes ago. So welcome, John. Thank you so much. This has been a great show, and we are not even at the top of the hour yet. We have some comments on Goatman. Mr. Scribbles, yeah, wouldn't want to run into Goatman. And our friend Metallica says, Goatman is your worst friggin' nightmare. So with you on that. Shout out to Angel Castro, who happens to be my brother-in-law, who says Small Town Monsters in all caps. So good to see you, Angel. Kevin Bird has another question for us, kind of in the same line that we were on a little while ago. I just watched Fire in the Sky the other night, parentheses, again. A well-made film, in my opinion. What is your take on the whole Travis Walton story? Anybody?
Let Mark start with that.
Okay. Well, my take, first of all, is that's I don't know if I was at the wrong age, but that's one of those movies I wanted to watch and then I chickened out on because I was just too afraid to watch it back when it first came out, because it's sort of like the same effect that the book Communion had on me. You know, I was intensely interested in Whitley Strieber's Communion, but there's something about the cover art of that and just the classic gray alien that it really bothered me. And so I didn't want any, it's like a love-hate thing. It took a while. The whole story, though, is, I mean, this is one of those cases where volumes and volumes has been written on it. Seth and I were at a conference where Travis Walton was a guest, and I'm sure, and that's been the case probably for the entire crew at later conferences, but he certainly has a following as far as that goes, and people hang on, his every word. But the least that you can say is that in the whole sphere of abduction stories, I think his got a lot of early attention and made it more possible for other people to talk about their abduction experiences. So it kind of kicked in the door for that.
Yeah, I mean, that movie, I love that movie. I think that movie's great. But I saw it way later. And I mean, I was already familiar with the Travis Walton story when I saw the movie. So I was aware of the discrepancies between, what Travis claims was reality and what the movie's showing. But the movie's very well made and interesting. There's already a couple docs done on that Travis Walton incident that are decent. And obviously almost every UFO related television show has covered it in some capacity. So it's not something I would immediately write off, but to do it, I would have to know that like Travis was heavily involved in the making of a documentary about it. And I would have to feel like we had something to bring to the table that hasn't already been covered elsewhere. So right now it's kind of like a back burner thing. It's not something we're pursuing, but it's also not something I would immediately turn off.
Yeah, I'll say, excuse me, goodness. I'll say that, like, personally, historically, I've been really skeptical of abduction phenomena. But especially lately, as I've done more research into this stuff, partially for UFOs Revisited, my preconceived notions have been challenged, and Mr. Walton's case is included in that. So, I'm excited to talk more about UFOs soon, and maybe this case will come up. I don't know.
Maybe UFOs Revisited will be mentioning it.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I was waiting to see where you were going with it. Maybe UFOs Revisited will
mention.
It's possible that it will come up. It's one of those cases that inevitably comes up in prolonged UFO discussions, but maybe.
Well, I was also saying that while realizing I do not remember the episode.
we're gonna talk about it.
I kind of thought that was the case, like wanting to hint at it, but not sure if you should put it out there in the event that wasn't something.
We're gonna talk about it.
This is the worst kept secret in any Small Town Monsters. Like,
yeah,
all someone has to say is, "Have you ever thought about this?" And we're like, "Well, if you like it, then you may check this." We've given it all away here. So let's just go through the episode breakdown of UFO.
Yeah, let's just break it down. I've actually done no outlining for the show yet. I'm just taking everything the audience says over the next couple of weeks, and those are our episodes. So this is really helpful.
That is 100% not true. Aaron and Heather have done a ton of work, and we have a very good outline and itinerary. It's going to be good.
We have a borderline book of notes to study before this. It's pretty impressive. And I feel like a lot of it was done just for me, because I asked Heather, I said, please, notes as many as you can so I can read about these things. I'm a Bigfoot and paranormal dude from way back. UFOs is a relatively new thing to me. So I needed notes. So
it's probably about 40 pages long.
It's pretty incredible. Yeah.
I believe it topped out at 45.
Just to be clear, I believe.
Well, that's
5 pages were a doozy. Don't take those away.
That's one thing that's going to be cool about this show, that without going into too much details, we do have a variety of perspectives coming to the table. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for giving us a chance to talk about that, Kevin. I'm quite hyped. Damien asks, let's see, this is an interesting question. I know you can't do the lizard man. Why not? But there's been claims of similar creatures. Would you guys consider to investigate any of those? I'm not sure why we couldn't do the lizard man.
Well, I've been quoted numerous times saying we can't do the lizard man.
Oh, we can't do the lizard man, guys. You're right, Damien.
The main reason I say it is because the bulk of the witnesses or the people connected to the original sightings are gone. Like either they've passed away or they're no longer in the area or want nothing to do with that. Also, I have it on good authority that there are 2 different documentaries being made on the lizard man right now. So it's covered. Like, it's just not something I don't think we're going to cover. So that's the main reason. I would love to have done it. And Lyle and I had talked about doing it as a follow-up to Boggy Creek. Back in the day, we were trying to get ahead of the passing of the sheriff, whose name I forget, but the guy that investigated that original case. But like the main original witness is gone. A lot of those people have passed. So to do it, we would have to have massive amounts of archival material, which I don't think exists, other than some audio that Lyle himself might have. It's a very difficult undertaking, and again, it's already about to be covered in 2 other docs. So that one would be out. But I mean, I love stories like that. Obviously, it's kind of what the whole company's built up around, are these obscure small town cryptid cases. So whether it's a lizard man or the frog man or whatever,
Goblins?
the goblins. Like, I'm down to do it. I'm down to do it. DTF, down to film.
Down to film.
Yep.
Well, great question, Damien. Go ahead and send your resume to contact us at smalltownmonsters.com. You'll probably be replacing me soon as the host of this show. No, great question. Fantastic. Let's see. We're coming up towards the end of the hour. Would you guys like to run one more of our film teasers before we close out tonight?
Oh, yeah.
I would. One of you guys pick one. I have Lost Contact and Dogman Territory.
I would do Dogman Territory since you were a part of that.
Okay, I will. Here's the teaser for Dogman Territory.
So this is the area, and through this very area right here where he is standing is the culvert area where this thing came out of, and it's pretty freaky looking.
Oh yeah, look at that. It drops right down over there. Oh man.
I was laying right in here, like down toward that culvert.
So down in here is where this thing was laying, and probably a little bit deeper down in this direction right here.
Right.
You found the culvert, didn't you?
Yeah, the culvert's right here.
The culvert is where it was.
Daryl, would you mind walking us through start to
Sure.
finish?
I'm in the, of course Martin is driving, I'm in the passenger side with my window down, and we're going probably real slow, 2 or 3 miles an hour here, barely going. And I'm just riding along and I look out the window, my window's down, my arm's hanging out, and I look and this creature's kind of laying at an angle and it's looking right at me. It looks like it's going to pounce on me. It's kind of, I couldn't see its feet. It was down in all this grass, but it was in a stance like it was going to pounce, like a cat would look.
I'm excited about that. We do have a late in the evening addition to our panel this evening. You know him, you love him, folks. Mr. Eli Watson.
Hey, Eli.
Hey, I forgot.
Well, in your defense, I did tell you guys, no worries, folks.
Yeah.
I know it's last minute. I can run this for a few minutes by myself. So I appreciate you being here at all. I don't think the audience would have stuck around. But no, we talked quite a bit about Cursed Waters earlier, Eli. Do you have anything on Cursed Waters you'd like to say?
It's going to be awesome. Honestly, I'm pretty stoked about it. It's it's unique because it has an interesting history. It was filmed as it's supposed to be part of the Mysteries and Monsters series, and then it became a movie. And so that has allowed many things, additional things that would not have been possible. Lots of video evidence that probably would have not made the cut before, and visual effects, which there's a little bit of a tease. My initial idea, I was going to buy like a plesiosaur toy and go film it at a lake somewhere and be like, this is Ogopogo.
I remember posting the toys and sending you links. Like, this work you.
Yep. And fortunately, I don't have to do that anymore. But so because it was filmed as like Mysteries and Monsters, there's a little bit of an adventure-y vibe to it that I think is really interesting. I don't know if interesting is the right word, but it's unique because it features me and Jason Hewlett pretty prominently, as we're like two investigators going to the lake to check it out. And we interview witnesses, people who have taken photographs. And so I think it's a unique combination of like a historical look at the phenomenon as a whole, but also a hands-on approach to it as well, which I think is going to be cool. And it brings you up to date. I mean, we investigated the most recent photograph of Ogopogo, unless there's one from this year that I don't know about. But
I looked a couple days ago.
We can make one.
Well, yeah, let's go make one.
A toy plesiosaur.
yeah.
I actually went to Lake Okanagan a couple days ago just to make sure, and they told me no. That didn't happen. Well, that kind of brings us. We've had a super cool discussion tonight. We unfortunately didn't have a lot of time to talk about Lost Contact and Dogman territory, so we'll get there as we go. But we're now past the 100% funding goal in the campaign. Lake Okanagan, Cursed Waters, Creature of Lake Okanagan, is the first stretch goal. So we
Lake
talked about this.
Okanagan itself is the first stretch goal.
It is. You get to go to the lake if we no.
All the Kickstarter funding was to purchase Lake Okanagan.
We're moving the headquarters out there. But no, at this point, guys, anything you can do to support the campaign by telling your friends, sharing it on your social media, anything like that helps. Every pledge matters, and we are so incredibly, incredibly grateful to every one of you.
And if you do back in the next 24 hours or increase your pledge, I'll be watching. So watch for an email from me because you might get a book. You might get a VHS. So if you're going to pledge and you want something free, do it in the next 24 hours. I'll be watching.
If I donate $5 more, can I get a VHS?
Eli, you
We'll
can get a
enter your
VHS,
name.
but not from the drawing.
I've created several Kickstarter accounts, and I'm submitting $1 pledges from but
You
they
like
all have
VHS if he makes me a little like diorama out of Legos.
We don't talk about those live in public places.
We've actually received several questions from our viewing audience about Eli's Lego.
Eli has an Instagram account for his Legos. I forget what it's called.
Oh boy, here we go. Now the cats roll out of the bag.
Let's not do this.
Given a few more minutes, I could look it up and share it with our viewers, but unfortunately, we are almost out of time. So tune in next week to find out. No, actually, join us on Sunday for the next edition of STM Live. We will be talking about the latest episode of Bigfoot Beyond the Trail from Mr. Alexander Pedikov. This is Encounters on the Kenai Peninsula and features interviews with our friend Larry Beans Baxter and Les Stroud. You may know him as Survivor Man. That Stroud.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, thank you again so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for your support. I don't purport to speak for everybody often, but I know all of us appreciate you very, very much. So we will see you again soon.
Yeah,
thanks again.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.